Hey everybody, welcome back to DeHaven Family Farm. Thank you for joining me for today's video. Today, in this video, we are going to be working on my Farmall H that's behind me here. We're going to do some carburetor work on it. If you enjoyed this type of video with antique tractors, be sure to hit the subscribe and the bell icon so you don't miss upcoming videos. So previously, I was having issues with the tractor running, and I pretty much guessed it was rust and crap coming from the gas tank down through into the carburetor. So in the last video, what we did was we took the tank off, we pressure washed it out, we cleaned it all up, did all that, and we installed an inline fuel filter here, did a whole bunch of work. So if you're interested in that process, be sure to check out the last video on this tractor. But today what we're going to work on, the tractor still won't run. I have spark at the spark plugs. Obviously, I have gas coming to the carburetor, but I'm thinking that some of the crap from that was previously in the tank, because there's a lot of rust particles in there, got into the carburetor and plugged something up so it's not working correctly. So what we're going to do here first is we're going to get some tools. I'll set you on the tripod, and we're going to take this carburetor off, and we'll take it over to the bench and see what we find. Okay, we got all of our tools together. Let's just start with the choke rod here. Little dinky cotter pin. I'm sure we'll lose that. That guy, that's done. This gas line off. Let's take this hose off here. That's not good. This little piece of rubber hose is about shot here, I think. All right, let's see if we can break these screws here loose. Oh. I'll move over here so maybe you can see what I'm doing. That actually came loose quite easily. All right, I think all we have left are the two bolts up here on top that hold it on. Let's see, righty tighty lefty loosey, right? Nope, that's good. Not super duper tight either. All right, that should be it. Ouch, I got it off of there. Whacked my finger, but it did come off. So let's go take this over to the bench and start taking a peek at it. Okay, this is the first time I've ever taken one of these apart. I already dumped some of the gas out. There's still some gas in there. You can see it's been leaking all over my towels there. I'm not sure the best way to get it out of there, honestly. It's like stuck down in there. So let's try and get this apart, I guess. Here, we'll take these screws out here. Or not. I hate flathead screws. There it goes. I think the last one here is on this side here. And hopefully we'll be able to split this thing into two pieces. See what we find in there. I know carburetors aren't terribly complicated, but this one is definitely a lot bigger and more complicated than the one on the Cub. All right, here we go. Oh boy. There's definitely some rusty looking crap in there. Can you guys see how rusty that is in there? Just a little residue down the bottom. But yeah, let's dump that out a second here. I think more of it leaked out on me than I thought. I'm just trying to find any obvious thing as to why this wasn't letting any gas through. I mean, the float is loose. Well, maybe what we'll do is we'll get some carburetor cleaner and we'll start spraying this thing down here and see if we can spray some gunk out of it. Oh boy, that is a huge, I thought that was just a little bit of residue. Can you guys see the rusty gas that just came out of there? There's actually a pile of rust down on the bottom down there. All right, I'm going to spray this thing up a little bit. You guys won't be able to see too well, but I'm going to go ahead and see what we can do about cleaning this up. Okay, so this is what we got here. I know the container was dirty, but it was not rust colored. So this is the gunk that I blew out of there. I did the jet. I don't know if there's actually two jets. I'm not 100% familiar with all the parts of a carburetor. This is kind of new to me. But I blew, there's a tiny little hole here that comes out. There's one here that comes out. I blew all this out. And then on this half of the carb, there is a, where the heck did it go? Where was it? Oh, yep. Right here, this little hole, I blew down in there. And the float seems to be working. So I think I got everything cleaned out. All the pieces are here. It really probably should just be rebuilt, but I just want to see if we can get the tractor to run. So I'm going to put it back together and just toss it on there and see if we were able to blow out any pieces of rust or crap that got in there. And again, just see if we can get it to run. That way I'm 100% sure that this is what the problem is, so we don't have to explore other things. And if we put it back together and it doesn't run, well, I still don't know if I'll count it out as the problem, but it would be nice if it would just sputter and run a little bit, and then I know we're on the right track. So let me put this back together, and we'll slap it back on the tractor and see if she'll sputter at all. Okay, I got the carb thrown back on. I'm not going to worry about the little air piece there, the air tube coming down from the air cleaner. We're not, if it does run, we're only going to run it for a minute or so, so I'm not really worried about that. Main goal here was just to see if we could get it to run for a minute. So let's try firing up and see what happens. All right, I added a little more gas just to make sure there was enough in there since we added a strainer. And let's try firing it up here and see where we get. Woo-hoo! Sounds good! I'd say she's running pretty good. That carburetor still needs some attention. Obviously, you know, we kind of took it apart, and the gaskets, you know, we just shoved everything back together with the old gasket, so that has to be addressed. It's running almost perfect, just a tiny bit off, but again, that could be because of the carburetor. It could be that when I was checking for spark, you know, pulling some of these spark plugs, there are a lot of carbon on them, they're old. I'm not even sure what kind they are, but you know, the plug wires, we may end up just changing plugs and plug wires and stuff, just doing a little bit of a tune-up on the tractor anyway. Because like I said, I don't even know how old those plugs are, who put them in, whatever. You know, I've only owned the tractor about a year, so I'm still discovering things with it, you know. But so we may do some of those tune-up things. Like I said, obviously the carburetor needs some work yet. So I will stop the video here, and when we get back to working on the carb and doing some more work, I'm going to go ahead and throw it on this video just to keep kind of the carburetor and everything going together. So it's probably going to be 4 or 5 days before I resume, but it'll just be a second for you guys. So yeah, let's pick this up after. All right, guys, welcome back. It's been a second for you, but a little over a week for me here working on this carburetor project. Last clip I believe you saw is we did have this running, but we didn't have you know, the air cleaner, anything hooked up because the carburetor still needs some attention. So I'm going to show you what we're going to do to fix this here now in the rest of this video. So let me take this back off and take it over the bench, and I'll show you what we're going to do. I won't bother filming any of that because you saw it already. I'll meet you over the bench. Okay, here's our carburetor off the tractor. It's an IH carb. What I've decided to do here, the carb is worth rebuilding, but I've got so many projects going now, I really don't have time to mess with it. I've never rebuilt one. I obviously don't think it's very difficult, but I'm just going to hold off on rebuilding it for now. So what I did was, for you guys that follow Farmall Fanatic, and he has a Facebook group, Farmall Fanatics, that you can join. There's a gentleman on there that rebuilds carburetors. So this is, I don't know if you can probably not see it. There's an IH logo right there. So this is an IH carb that he completely rebuilt. Even sent me a new gasket to go with it. So I think this will be a nice way to go. There's actually a little butterfly valve on here if you need to drain this out. So that's kind of cool. But everything's on here, nicely painted, good to go. He shipped it right to me. So if you're interested in trying to find one of those, check out the Farmall Fanatics Facebook group there, and you might be able to get a hold of him. I think it's kind of a hobby for him. And, you know, so he doesn't have every single carburetor for every tractor sitting there in stock. But I did happen to see he had posted on that group that he had one for an H for sale. So I snapped it up, and I had asked him about one for the Cub, but he didn't have one. So that's how we ended up with the, you know, cheap carb there. I would have taken one of these from him. So that's what we're going to do, is we're going to go ahead and put this beautiful carburetor on the H. I actually had some gaskets here ready to go, but since he sent me that one, we don't need to do that. And the other thing we have to do here is this awful chintzy piece of hose that's ready to break apart. I went to Napa and just got a generic piece of hose here, made in Mexico. So what I'm going to do is just cut a piece of this to put on there, and we'll take these hose clamps off and we'll put them on the new piece of hose. So let me get this cut and get things set, and I'll get you moved over, and we'll start putting all the new stuff on the tractor. All right, here's our new gasket. I cleaned up the surface up there that this is going to mate to. Now I just got to figure out what order I want to do stuff in here. Maybe we'll shove this hose on here. Unfortunately, I was not able to reuse the hose clamps that were on the tractor. They're just too rusted and they don't want to move good, so I'm just going to put new ones on. So now comes the fun part. There's got to be a better way to do this than the way I do it. Just kind of shoving things together here. Okay, we finally got her on there. There's a couple of things that need to line up in here, and they were not lining up like they needed to. But we got her now, so we just got to start putting everything back together here. Some screws in. The nut on the stud in the back is the most fun. Okay, we got all those fittings tightened up. Let's put our gas line back in. And our new hose here. Okay, looks like the choke is going to come down and hit on my hose clamps. So I guess we'll rotate them down out of the way then. I think the last thing we have to do here is put the choke back on. There we go, cotter pin. So I guess what we'll do now is I'll go turn the gas on, let gas drain down to it and see what happens. Now gas is working its way down. I guess let's try and fire it up. Might take it a minute because everything's empty. So we'll choke it and we'll see, but I'll move you guys back a little bit and let's see if we can fire up now with this nicely new rebuilt carb. All right, here we go. All right, I double checked the settings on the carb, screwed everything in and back out the number of turns. I got the manual here. I just wanted to make sure, you never know, things getting bounced around in shipping. So we reset stuff and let's see what happens. There she is, all mounted and looking pretty. All right guys, that ends today's video. We got her running, she sounds good. Got a nice carb on there that's not leaking, and we have a spare that we can rebuild. I like having spare parts. That's why I don't mind buying doubles of things. Sometimes it's hard to find things like original carburetors, and some parts you buy them when you see them. That's kind of my motto. But if you enjoy this kind of content, you're going to want to hit the subscribe button and that bell icon, because we have got more videos coming on this tractor. We're going to drop the oil pan, we're going to change the oil, we're going to see what kind of a mess it is up in there. There's a screen on the bottom of the oil pump, like a pickup tube. We're going to clean that, see what we got going on there. So you're not going to want to miss that video. And we're also going to do some basic maintenance to the tractor. We're going to change the plugs, plug wires. I have not done anything with the hydraulic system on the tractor, so we're going to drop the oil in that and change that. And let's see, battery cables, a couple other minor things. So there's 2 more videos coming up on this tractor yet, so stay tuned for those. Any suggestions, questions, comments, leave them down below. I appreciate it. I thank everybody for watching. Hope to see y'all in the next video.